Welcome to another episode of the Gull Mouth Action podcast, where we take a look at all the latest goings on at Brighton, Hove Albion and Crawley Town. I'm Matt Pohl, and I'm joined by Sam Morton, who covers both Albion and the Reds, as well as Crawley Town expert Mark Dunford. Both the Seagulls and the Reds have been busy in the transfer market. We'll bring you all the latest ins and outs from the Amex and Broadfield Stadium. Plus, we'll take a brief look at England's Euro 2024 semi-final win over the Netherlands. You can read all the stories we are talking about with videos and pictures online at sussexworld.co.uk/sport. And you can check out other great videos on shotstv.com and Freeview Channel 276. You may also be watching on latest TV, so thank you very much for tuning in. But first, this week, we saw Albion announce the signing of Netherlands international Mats Wijfer from Feyenoord. The midfielder has signed a contract until 2029. What do you make of the signing, Sam? It's one that's been in the pipeline for a while. What will he add to the Seagulls squad, do you reckon?
Yeah, no, I'm very excited by this signing, Matt, really. I think, and as you can see from social media, a lot of Brighton fans are too. It seems like a bit of a statement signing going into the new season. Because he's been described by The Athletic as the missing link and an all-rounder to boost a post-Caicedo and McAllister midfield. So it seems he is the man that they've been dying for, hopefully anyway, because obviously as we saw last season with Carlos Baleba improving as the season went on, but he's still got a lot of improvement to do. Obviously, Dahoud was a bit of a failure of a signing in the end. So that midfield has been a bit of a problem since Caicedo and McAllister left. So now they've managed to bring in Wijfer from Feyenoord. Hopefully he can be the man. Because if it wasn't for a thigh injury, he would have been one of the first names on the team sheet for all the Netherlands. He had such a good season. And Brighton's technical director, David Veer, claimed the club have landed one of the best deep-lying midfielders in Europe. In Wijfer for £25 million. So definitely exciting one there, really. And in an interview with the club, he said his best position is to play as a number 6, but he can also play box to box and prefers to join the build up, to play a lot of balls forward with one-touch passing, which is perfect for Brighton. And he was used 26 times in the building role by Arne Slot at Feyenoord, and he contributed to 4 goals and 2 assists. So I think there's definitely a player there that Brighton can develop and really look to build their team around, hopefully, as well. And obviously there's a Dutch connection with Verbruggen as well, so hopefully he can help him settle down quickly.
Can we remember that Sam was excited about Ansu Fati, though, so we don't know how excited.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Do we call David Weir David Veer now, like Mats Wijfer? So
sorry, I'll go and mix up all the Wijfer and Wijfer. David Weir, yeah, sorry.
Yeah,
I think we all quite understandably got swept up in the Ansu Fati thing, but I think we've all very much learned our lessons, haven't we, after all that? Lord love him. Although Albion have also made another signing, although not quite as high profile, it's still just exciting. They've brought in attacking wide midfielder Mario Cozier-Dubry from Arsenal on a 4-year deal. The 19-year-old scored 13 goals and provided 5 assists last season for the Gunners under-21s, and has also represented England at all age groups from under-16s to under-19s. On that alone, Sam, the Seagulls could have a gem on their hands, couldn't they?
100%. Yeah, he's actually been dubbed by Jack Wilshere as the next Bukayo Saka, so that can't be a bad comparison. And he reportedly turned down interest from a host of other Premier League clubs and sides around Europe to join Brighton after leaving Arsenal. And apparently there was interest from Aston Villa and West Ham, whilst Ajax, Borussia Dortmund, Celtic and Rangers are all tracking him. So he's opted for Brighton out of some big names there, which is really promising, and just shows the reputation really that Brighton have built in being able to develop these young players and to mould the talent to the standards of the Premier League. And obviously that's what they just made the name of themselves of doing, really. And obviously let's hope that Cozier-Dubry could be the next one to obviously make his name for himself at Brighton, and that is understood to be a significant reason why he did choose Brighton out of all those clubs he could have gone to. And Arsenal did actually want him to stay and offered him a new deal with a view to sending him on loan in January. But I think he wanted to get that permanent move where he's going to get more regular football. And fair play to him, really, and I hope he can make a name for himself at Brighton and settle down really quickly. And obviously under the leadership of Fabian Herzler coming in, I think it's an exciting one. So yeah, fingers crossed it'll be a positive move.
Well, it's not just Brighton's men who've been busy in the transfer market. Albion's women have so far brought in 5 new faces in the summer transfer window, and have also hired ex-Australia international Dario Vidosic as their new head coach. But among those 5 new faces, no doubt the standout signing for the women has been England international Fran Kirby on a free from Chelsea. That is quite simply, Sam, an incredible piece of business from Brighton. How much of a coup is Kirby for the club? It's a massive, massive name, isn't it?
It's incredible. I couldn't believe it when I saw it pop up on Twitter the other day. It was huge news. Yeah, it's incredible. Obviously, she's widely regarded as one of England's greatest female players ever, winning 5 successive WSL titles with Chelsea before her departure. But it's understood she's moving to Brighton to be closer to home, and obviously will continue to play in the Women's Super League. So I think that's brilliant for Brighton, and I think Tony Bloom's spoken in the past about his ambitions for the women's team to be up there with the best and to keep improving. Because obviously they have been lingering right down the bottom of the table for a few seasons. So I think signing someone of Kirby's caliber can only help to improve that and to get them further up the table, and it can even encourage players to make that same move. So I think it's great. I think for women's and the men's team to be able to encourage players of the caliber of that, really, it's brilliant. So I think fantastic for the club and great for women's football as well. And I really hope that she can make a good impact at the club and get the club moving forward.
It's an incredible sign. Just fingers crossed she just stays fit. 'Cause I know that she had a number of injury problems at Chelsea, but best of luck to her. It'd be good to see her play at Brighton. Meanwhile, Albion keeper Bart Verbruggen started for the Netherlands against England in Wednesday's Euro 2024 semi-final. If for some reason you don't know what happened in the game, and I don't quite know why you'd be listening to this if you didn't, Ollie Watkins' late winner sparked joyous celebrations and sent the 3 Lions to Sunday's final in Berlin in a 2-1 victory. Obviously, this is probably the understatement of the century, but it was a quite simply fantastic result for England, Sam. But with your Brighton hat on, how did you rate Verbruggen's performance for the Dutch on Wednesday?
Yeah, I think he had a decent game, to be honest. I don't think he kind of did anything wrong. I think he couldn't have saved the penalty, as that was perfect from Kane. Not that I think it should have been a penalty, but that's another matter entirely.
Kane was assaulted by that. He was. Or only a word that's different.
It was a weird one. I think when I saw him go down, I thought, okay, no. I saw the replay and I thought that's never a penalty. And when he went to check it, I thought that's mental, absolutely mental. But yeah, obviously not complaining. Verbruggen, he dived the right way. In fairness to him, but I think he was never going to get to the bottom corner. It was a great penalty. For Watkins' goal, you can't say anything about the goalkeeper really. It was just quality centre forward play. Put it through De Vrij's legs. I didn't see it coming. I definitely didn't think the goalkeeper did. And it's such a typical Watkins finish. And it's quite funny. I saw a post going around today, actually, from an earlier interview or clip from Sky Sports, where Verbruggen named Watkins as the second most dangerous striker in the Premier League. It's probably come from a personal point. Probably from a personal point of view where he loves a goal against Brighton, Watkins, and I think Villa obviously scored a lot of them against Brighton in the last few years, and Watkins has been one to get a lot of those goals, and he is such a great striker, and he's had obviously the season of his life, but obviously the moment of his career probably last night, and but I think from Verbruggen's point of view, he couldn't have done much more, and he had a really good tournament actually, and probably the standout Brighton player in the tournament. He obviously made some key stops against Poland in the group stage. He had clean sheets against France and Romania as well. There's a bit of a blip against Austria when they conceded 3 goals, of course, but I think the whole team were pretty awful that day, and we're all at sea. I think he had a really positive tournament and cemented himself again as one of the Europeans' most talented young goalkeepers, and hopefully he can continue that next season when I'm sure he will be the main keeper.
He's only 21 still, isn't he?
Yes, yeah.
21. Yeah, crazy.
Best yet to come, I think. But England will now meet Spain in the final, and they've quite simply been superb this tournament. The Spanish beat France 2-1 in the semis to make it 6 wins in 6 in Germany. How do you see the final going, Sam? Tough to call, I think.
Yeah, very, very tough one. I'm confident because it's nice to see England playing well now, because I think after some really dodgy performances, they scraped their way through and obviously somehow got through that Slovakia game and improved against Switzerland, but still needed penalties. But to have that confident performance last night, I think is really good going into that final, and they've now got the belief. Not that they didn't have belief before, but even more belief now they can really put Spain to the sword, because obviously Spain have been exceptional. They've won every game. That's that's all there is to it, really. Spain are the team to beat in this competition. They've been the most exciting to watch, and they've got Lamine Yamal, 16-year-old, that seemingly can do what he wants as well. England have got Kobe Mainoo, their own teenager, that's a bit of a world beater as well. So I'm really hoping that Mainoo overshadows Yamal on the day, and England come out on top. But it could really go anyway. I think the start of the game.
I think it works in our favour that we're the underdogs going into it. I think that.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it is. Obviously, there is always going to be expectation with England. I think if they were to lose in the final again, it would be heartbreaking after what happened against Italy last time out. But yeah, I'm more confident this time. I think the players that England got, they all started to improve their own individual performances against the Netherlands, and I'm confident they'll continue that against Spain. But it should be a brilliant game either way. Two good teams, two teams full of talent. So yeah, really look forward to that.
Come on, England. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll be talking all things Crawley Town. Welcome back to part 2, where we'll discuss all things Crawley Town. And there's been plenty going on at the Reds since the last podcast, both on and off the pitch. And we'll start with, unfortunately, another major departure. Liam Kelly has left the Reds to join MK Dons. He was quite simply superb during the playoffs, picking up 3 man of the match awards across both legs, the semis and the final. And it's another major blow, Mark, isn't it? How disappointed were you to see him go?
Yeah, I was, mainly because I said on last week's podcast that he wasn't going anywhere. So, and I've got a bit of stick for that. And yes, sometimes things in football change. So I accept I was wrong. I was misinformed, shall we say. But yeah, it is a huge blow just simply because of how good he was last year. And it was, yes, those 3 playoff games highlighted how good he was, but he was brilliant all season as well. And he could play anywhere in that midfield. He'd be defensively tracking back, doing last-ditch tackles, then playing a world-class through ball for an assist for Orsi to go on to and score. He just had everything, and he was such an engine in that midfield, and arguably the main reason they got promoted, especially with those 3 man of the match performances in the playoffs. But I mean, it's a huge blow. But after what we'd seen with Orsi going, Adai going, Nick Cerula going, and all that, I think people had just sort of accepted that, yeah, a lot of the star players from last year are going. So although I'm disappointed he's gone and I won't be watching him again next year, I'm not surprised, I don't think, in the end, because, yeah, I imagine MK Dons weren't the only club who were going to be after him and that. But yeah, you just hope Crawley have got some good money for him. And you hope that they've now got a lovely transfer pot. I mean, they've already made some signings, which we'll come on to, but yeah, it'll be good if they can add 3 or 4 more really good quality players into the squad and to replace him.
Before we move on to the new faces, there has been another departure, although, kind of enforced, I suppose. Crawley captain Ben Gladwin has announced his retirement from football, but the midfielder will join Scott Lindsay's coaching staff. Not as much of a shock from what I understand, Mark, but no doubt he will probably be missed.
Yeah, he will be on the playing side, because when he did play, and he played in the early part of the season, he is like Scott Lindsay's general in the middle of the pitch. He just sort of led the team so well. He had everyone's back, and he still had a touch of quality about him, but you could tell he did struggle. He's had injury problems, I think, throughout most of his career. So it's no surprise that he has retired, but he's going to be such an asset to Crawley. And he was on the sidelines helping Lindsay. He was holding player meetings last year when he was injured, running coaching sessions and that. So the players really respect him. I think he'll be a real asset to Scott Lindsay's coaching team, added to Jamie Day, Carl Larriman, Steve Howe, the goalkeeping coach. So, he's Scott Lindsay's got a good team behind him there. And like I say, what you want from your coaching staff is that the players respect you and that. And Ben Gladwin's been there and done it as a player. And it's a shame he wasn't involved as much at the end of last season when Crawley had all their success. But Scott Lindsay will say he was so integral off the pitch. So sad to see him have to retire, but he'll be a big asset going forward.
Now, a triple shot of good news. Despite these departures, Crawley have been very proactive in the transfer window, bringing in 3 new faces this week. Centre-back Toby Malarkey, and as Sam Morton said, the headlines write themselves, was first through the door on Tuesday. The 28-year-old joins from Grimsby Town on a 2-year deal. And what do you make of the signing, Mark? It looks like Lindsay has added a bit of experience to his backline. Yeah,
that's what you want. I think he naturally will slip into the right side of the back 3. where Will Wright was playing most of last season. So, and that's what you want in defence. I mean, we've got Joy McKenna, who played there a couple of times last year, played in the centre of the back three as well. But he's still inexperienced. He's one of those players that Lindsay brought in from the non-league last season, but he played really well. But I think you do want that league experience in there. And Malarkey looks like he's got that experience. He looks like he's the right fit to go onto the right side of that back three, alongside Dion Conroy and probably Josh Flint, one of the other new signings, as the left-sided centre back. So, but yeah, that's what Crawley fans were worried about, is that they were losing all these players like Will Wright, Liam Kelly, Danny Low-Horsey, the more experienced members of the team. But he has brought in a couple of really experienced, and that will be key to Crawley trying to hold their own this year. I mean, nobody's expecting them to go playoffs. I'm sure Scott Lindsay is, but I don't think they will struggle. I think they will shock a few teams, and players like bringing Malarkey in will help with their experience and getting some of the younger players through games at big stadiums.
Well, veteran midfielder Gavin Holohan was next through the door at the Broadfield Stadium just hours after Malarkey. And like Malarkey, the Irishman joins the Reds from Grimsby. It looks like Lindsay has targeted the more experienced players, as you mentioned there, in this transfer window. But how vital will Holohan's nous and know-how be to Crawley's midfield this season?
I think it'll be really. I think he is who comes in and plays instead of replaces Liam Kelly to some extent, because you've got Jay Williams in there, but again, he's another one who's still relatively inexperienced at this level. Well, certainly at League One level, but in Football League level. So you want those experienced heads around him, and Holohan is, he's a player. Yeah, he's a player that we've seen when Grimsby had the FA Cup run. He scored, I think it was 2 penalties against Southampton. Would have played at Brighton when they got absolutely hammered, but unexpectedly. But he's 32. He's Grimsby fans absolutely love him, and they've been full of praise for him. So you're hoping that he comes in and just gives that steadiness in the midfield to sort of assist Jay Williams, and you've got the Harry Forster, etc., on the wings and that. So I think he'll be a really key signing, and and to some extent will be helping replace Ben Gladwin on the pitch as well, because he will be that natural leader, I imagine, given his age and experience.
Someone who is also 32, I would like to retract the veteran bit from veteran midfielder Gavin Holohan. Gavin Holohan, his best years are still ahead of him, and I'm sure he can still run at his sprightly young age. But finally, on the player front, just yesterday, the Reds announced a loan signing of teenage winger Michael Da Costa Gonzalez from Bournemouth on Wednesday. It's another move that has long been rumoured, hasn't it, Mark? How excited should Crawley supporters be about this young lad? I read that he's been capped for Spain under 21s. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think somebody said this morning it was under 19s. I think
under 19s.
But yeah, I mean, obviously he's at a Premier League club. He's had international experience at age group level, and that. I think fans should be excited. He sounds like a proper sort of Scott Lindsay player, someone he can get and fit into his system and coach. And I think he's predominantly a winger, but he'll certainly be in midfield. And you've got the likes of Jeremy Kelly and Adi Adeyemo, Harry Forster, who are going to be vying for those wings. But if he can come in, show his quality, which he clearly has to be at a Premier League club, I think he seems like the kind of player, from what I've seen little clips of here and there, that is going to get fans off their seat when he gets the ball, kind of thing, running at players. So no, it's a really exciting signing. And I mean, yeah, if you can get a Spaniard running down the wings for Crawley, what more could you want, eh? It's going to be very, very, very exciting.
Fingers crossed for him. Lastly, on to matters off the pitch. Crawley have made major moves with Preston Johnson returning as chairman and also assuming the role of CEO. Meanwhile, Eben Smith has stepped down as co-chairman and Ben Levin has been named vice chair. There's a lot of movement going on there, Mark. With all that said, how will this affect the day-to-day running of the Reds? And does it kind of make things more streamlined that you've got one person doing two jobs, or if that makes sense?
Yeah, I know what you're trying to say. Yeah, it's I think, I mean, from the outside looking in, it looks like a really positive move, because the fans are funny, as we know, because they'll want WAGME to communicate with them, but then they don't want WAGME to be involved and blah, blah, blah. But having someone from WAGMI, who is now a CEO. And actually, that's the most important bit, because Crawley haven't had a CEO in the last a couple of years. So it's great that they've got someone now who is in charge with the day-to-day running of Crawley Town, because you have people who are doing an incredible job, like Tom Allman, who was general manager, Harry Maynard, who was head of football operations, and that. Now they've got someone there day-to-day that they can make decisions with instantly, because I think there may have been some issues communication-wise. During the season and that, because obviously these people are in America and obviously time zones, etc., and all that. So, but to have Preston, and he's bringing his family over here, I mean, which is incredible that he's making that commitment. And I mean, I think that must show Crawley fans that he really does mean this. He really wants this to work and be successful. I mean, the fact the guy had threats, his wife got threats, and now he's bringing them over, which is incredible. And fair play to him. And he's the one who's always been the most sort of the face of WAGMI, as it were, and the one who seems to be most personable with the fans and that. So I think they've chosen the right person. I mean, it might not work. It might backfire somehow. They might not like it or whatever. But to have someone there day to day, and Ben Levin as well, is someone who was always around last year, but nobody really knew who he was or what he did. I met him at a couple of games. I think we met him at Sutton, Sam, didn't we?
Yes,
Ben Lavitt at one of the games, and he's a really nice guy. He's vice chair. I was chatting to him this morning actually, because I bumped into him, and he really I think he's in charge of making the club grow, and that's looking at revenue opportunities, commercial opportunities, reputation, exposure, etc. So he's got a really important role as well. So it's going to be, I think it's really good that they're going to have those people there day to day, so it can all be, like you said, more streamlined rather than making a phone call to America and it's not the right time and things like that. I mean, I might be misreading that, but yeah, it sounds, I think it'll be really positive, and hopefully the club will move forward. And I mean, I saw there was an interview Preston did with the Athletic about the stadium, saying they're in really positive talk with the council, and they're moving forward. So hopefully at some point we'll have some news about the ground and the club actually owning it, and that will be a huge step forward for the club and what they can then do to help make the club bigger in that sense as well.
It's also interesting they've sold out their pre-season friendly against Crystal Palace as well, haven't they? I saw that come up today. Tickets are sold out.
They sold out. Yeah, it's going to be exciting, because last year you went, Sam, and Eze played, didn't he? And they had some good. Yeah, they brought a big strong side, and I think it's just before they're going on their pre-season tour. I think they're going to America, Crystal Palace. So hopefully you'd like to think that they're going to bring some big names. Obviously they've lost Michael Elise, haven't they? But it'd be great to see Eze. I'm sure Eze won't be playing this time, but you never know.
Well, he's been at England, isn't he? Yeah, he's gone from playing at Broadfield Stadium to the Euros with England. So I know which is better. I know which I'd rather do.
And very quickly, Mark, as we're running out of time, Crawley kick off pre-season when?
Tuesday. They got Lewis away. And then they've got East Grinstead on the Saturday. Yeah, and I was when I was at the club earlier, they were saying suddenly it's back to Tuesday, Saturday. Yeah. Now, and depending on kickoff fixture times and changes for TV and stuff, there's no Saturdays off now until May next year. So that's crazy, isn't it?
It's as if it's never stopped, is it? Well, anyway, thank you very much, chaps. You can catch up with all the latest sports news covering everything we've talked about today at sussexworld.co.uk, and you can watch more excellent videos on shotstv.com and Freeview channel 276. Thank you very much for listening and watching, and we will see you all next week.